Sorry if I don't seem as enthusiastic at this exact moment for the game we're going to be playing, but that's because I'm busy on my phone. Just talk amongst yourselves for a moment. Started a little bit early, or in fact, make that a minute late, but I've started it nonetheless. And I'm just checking some stuff out before we go, so we can start in a couple of minutes. Get a drink, get some chips, whatever it is you like to get while you watch a live stream. I'm just trying to find if there is a way to view this live stream on here so that I can check everything is alright. There is. You may have probably just heard that on the actual stream. You heard my voice echoing. That's how far the delay is behind, by the way. It's a couple of seconds, but you know what? I was going to put a chat message in. Wait, does that count as me viewing? So if I leave, do I lose a viewer? Is that how that works? Let's find out. Sorry, I haven't streamed very much on YouTube or Twitch before. I enjoy it a lot, but I don't do it nearly as much as I should. I'm going to start doing maybe Tuesdays and Fridays live streaming. Let's see, so I just went off it and now back on it. Let's find out if we count as a viewer when I'm on it on my own channel. We had this discussion about videos recently. We've discovered that playing a video on your own channel to make sure it uploaded right somehow counts as a view in some cases. But I don't really care. Let's just jump straight into the game. So if you remember, or notice if you're here for the first time, I guess, we're about 3.5 hours in and we are in the Resistance camp. We have just fought a mysterious humanoid robot whose name we do not know, but and of course we met Pascal, the leader of the friendly village of robots, and we have now returned to here to speak to our friends. Let's turn the TV down on my end a bit so it doesn't pick up on the mic, which is a very annoying thing to happen, but it does happen sometimes. See, now it's saying one viewer on that. I have no idea. If you are somebody else watching, welcome. But where are we at? If you see Pascal, give him the highest. Okay, we're going to see Pascal, right? Let me just refresh myself. Refresh yourself. I don't know. There's yeah. Storage site. Went to the desert. Jean Paul. You know, we're gonna go to the desert. I'm gonna go to the desert because we've got some shit to do in the desert. What resources have I got? Sorry. Refresh yourself. Yeah, I got 1200 G, which is a good amount of G. A happy amount of G. Actually, it's not. It's next to fucking nothing. But it's because I spent it all on chips and stuff last time, right? Yeah, that's what I did. I got the highest amount of fucking chips that I could get. So that I have all my HUD set up. I got weapon attack, shockwave, HP up, drop rates. Drop rates was filler, I think. EXP gain, which will help me, and then also use item because I had a slot left over. That's all you need. We're just going to do some little side quests just to ease ourselves back in. I'm level 11. Not that levels make any real difference in this game, that I can tell, anyway. That's right. This way. So I was debating what to stream tonight. There are a load of different things. I got obviously I've barely streamed. I've got a bunch of different things that I want to stream at some point. But I settled on Nier Automata Part 2 because, as I said in the first stream, if anybody watched it, I don't want our Nier Automata playthrough to go unfinished. Of all the games in the world, as I said in the first one, this is the best game that has ever been made, in my opinion. My humble, uninformed opinion. This is the best game that's ever been made, and I will not allow it to be a game on our channel that went unfinished. But besides that, I've actually been thinking about this game all week. I forgot how obsessively in love with it I am. I forgot that for the first time I played it, I would go to work and just like every 20 minutes or so I would have to think about Nier Automata again. I still quite very regularly, 2.5 years down the line, closing up on 3 years since this game came out, still somewhat regularly just remember lines or phrases or scenes or something from this game. Yeah, and just get goosebumps. You'll see some of them as we go. This bit isn't going to be the most exciting in that regard because side quests, but it's still fun and actually does all tie in. Actually, I think that guy's here now, so I'm going to go and try and get to him. There's another side quest at the top of this tower, which is kind of hard to get to the first time because it's not clear how you're supposed to do it. Where's the thing in here that I forgot? There's going to be lots of this. There's going to be lots of. Is there something here? Is that there? Is it what? Are we there yet? What? But that's how you do it. Yep, here he is. Oh no. I'm not going to spend ages on him. I'm going to hurt myself probably trying to fight him because I don't want it to last forever. Could you target him, please? Not that this fight is particularly difficult anyway, it's just a standard enemy but higher level, so we have more help. Victory! This is one of the goofier side quests and therefore one of my favourites. Not too shabby at all. I'm the warrior monk, Father Servo. I seek the enlightened path through perfection in battle. What? But alas, there is only so much I'm capable of on my own. Would you be so good as to aid me? No, I'm not sure we should. Oh ho ho, fear of the unknown clouds your mind, young one. Why would we do that? Well, impart you our secret battle skills. I don't know, this is stupid, we should go. But I'm going to help him. Heaven smile upon Father Servo this day. Now then, let us start with a light round of sparring. We've just done a round of sparring. Thankfully, you can do a lot of damage. Even 9 levels behind him. And he is just the most basic of basic enemies, but with more health. Enough, Father Servo yields! Yes, he does. Don't think he's as tough as he makes out. Well, it was a nice workout. Yeah, well, good for you. Now then, as payment for the lesson, you must bring me a warped wire. We spied, yes, you learned many things, then surely an emolument is to be expected. This guy's shameless. We should go and get one from the dinosaur type thing walking about. Have I just got one? Yeah, I do. Perfect. So you get XP and you get items and stuff. 3,000 quid, not bad. Weapon attack up, fine. 600 XP, of course. Now he takes a little bit of time to prepare and then you can do it the next time. I believe there's something in here. Yep. Impact Bracer L. I feel like that just increases your damage for temporary. For temporary, yes. It increases your damage for temporary. English. It temporarily increases your attack. I'm sure you knew what I meant there. Those are items that nobody uses in any video game, aren't they?
The Council of Humanity has a message from all of our brave androids fighting on the surface.
Oh, I can't save while I'm getting a message.
Their advanced force, the machine life force, attacked us. Millennia since mankind was forced to evacuate to the surface of the moon. But thanks to your continued struggle, we have been...
You guys let me know if the sound's okay for you, by the way.
You, our android soldiers, are the last hope of humanity. We look forward to your continued success in combat. Glory to mankind.
Yeah, based on my phone, I think it's okay. Although that's a really, really bad way to judge it. It's all I have. I'm doing a study in the excitement levels of androids in combat, but I need to record combat data. Okay.
Here, follow me.
Let's do it, jackass. I think is your name. I should know, I just read it. Oh, I remember doing this.
Alright, see that jerk over there? I need you to get combat data for him. Science will pay you back for this, I promise. Now, fight!
I remember this being really difficult when you get to like the highest level one. You get good stuff though from it. That was great. You know, Android Battle Fever is actually similar to the human motion of love. Makes you feel quite romantic, doesn't it? I suppose. Sure. Keep your hands to yourself. Do it without taking any damage. This is in itself quite easy as well because of how mobile your characters are. And before I fail it, I know, but no, I did it.
Requested mission completed.
Get some more chips. I love the chip system in this. I think it's really, really good. It's the best way to level up your character. Yes, I love Yoragoons. Speaking of Yoragoon, I'm a bit surprised you're so intellectual. But you're a bit dense. Anyway. Yeah. I need more data. You are going to help me. Sure. Metaphorically speaking, I have guts. 30 seconds or less to kill them all. Without taking any damage at all. No, I'm probably not going to be able to do it because I'm kind of under-leveled, obviously. Come on, do it, do. Tell me I did it. I'm the greatest. I heard it. I didn't see the timer. I don't know if any of you guys could see the timer on screen, but I heard the beep as in I was in the last like couple of seconds. So I think that was good. I think that was really good. You're so fast in this game. Like, you're so fast. Crispy crap on a stick. See, this reaction improves the android's brain to prove an algorithm that makes us get pleasure from battle. Oh, they copied us. Or we copy ourselves. Need a teensy bit more. Last guinea pig. Wipe these enemies once, and you can't take damage. Okay, so you'll notice that there are enemies in this one that we haven't encountered yet. Damn it. Do I get... No. So that will be a really easy way to farm XP and stuff, but this is the one that was super difficult. Well, that's it failed, I think. The inability to launch them is kind of annoying as well. I'll give it one more go, and after that I'm going to give up and go and do a different challenge. I genuinely didn't see an attack happen there, but okay. We'll give up on that for a bit and I'll come back. I don't want to leave you guys sat here watching me do that over and over again. Especially when if I had like 4 or 5 more levels, it would actually be way easier than it is. Let's retrieve that. XP gain up, that's what we like. So I think if you go this way, you go through the little passage into the main desert. I think the kid's out there. I think it's an escort mission as well, if I remember right. So if anyone's wondering, the side mission that we're doing here is one of the robots, big sister robot, in the robot village requested us to go and find her little sister who has gotten lost. She thinks she's in the desert because she's looking for a new part for her big sister. This game's so cool though. Yeah, I was watching a podcast earlier. Super Best Friend, formerly Super Best Friend Cast, now Castle Soup Beast Cast, featuring Wooly Versus and Pat Stares Up. Angriest Pat, that is.
Hello? Testing, testing.
Hey, Pascal.
Pascal? Is that you?
Nier? Yes, it is me. Many apologies for the sudden transmission. I heard that you were searching for the missing child, yes? Well, if you would, please consider this a personal request from myself as well. Go find the child as quickly as you can. She's such a good little girl, and so fond of her sister. She's probably somewhere around the desert at the moment. That's where she's likely to find the desert place her sister is.
Go.
Thank you so much. And please be careful, alright?
Seems Pascal wants us to find it too. But yeah, I was listening to a podcast in which people were discussing how do you, like, with a game that's quite story centric or otherwise, how can you tell whether a game is building up slowly or just building up to nothing? And it's kind of hard to not, like, you get a sense of it in a lot of RPGs, especially the longer ones, versus like an action game, like a Call of Duty or a God of War or something, where you know from the beginning, more often than not, the story doesn't mean anything really. But in a game like this, or a Final Fantasy, when you spend a long time at the beginning not really seeing much to do with the story or to do with the characters, at least what they will eventually become, how do you know whether the game is just not doing anything or whether it's taking its time to build up to something that's really good? And I'm really not sure how to answer it. But it's interesting to me that you do kind of not necessarily know, because you can be wrong, but you get a very strong sense from the game usually whether it's something that's worth sticking with because it's going to get good, or whether it's something that's just the story's there for, you know, a lame justification for what's happening in the gameplay, and that unless you wouldn't really enjoy the gameplay, it's not worth it. But obviously for games like, as I think they mentioned in the podcast, the obvious one is if it's a series that you know, or a developer that you know, or something like that, you'll generally have a good sense of what's to come because they repeat themselves, at least in tones, themes, patterns in their games. I was trying to think of games that I got that start really slow, that have but that I got the sense that they were worth playing. The big ones being things like Yakuza, this, Nier Automata, that is. There you are. Look how sexy she was. Oh, I love it. You the machine came looking in for a spare part. Who are you? Your sister asked us to look for you. She did, really? Really. So what do you say we head home? I was so scared. Okay, let's go.
Let's get her back to Pascal's village.
How'd you get back here anyway? Oh, come on now, don't cry. Did you at least find what you needed? I'm sure she will. But I bet she'll be even happier to see you back home, safe and sound.
Oh, he's nice, isn't he? Sorry, I've got a bit of a thing in my throat. But yeah, I was trying to think, how did I know when I started playing this that it was going to end up being good?
No one made the desert. It's just an area that lost all its vegetation due to a lack of precipitation. This caused lasting changes in the soil, which means plants aren't able to... Soil? It's dirt. Ground. Stuff we're walking on?
Simple. I love the dialogue that they have here, like it's with a stupid like parent and child conversation, or adult and child, but between a like mature robot and a child robot.
Wind is just a force caused by changes in temperature and atmospheric pressure and... Huh. That's actually a hard question now that I think about it. Kind of deep for you. I mean, where does the wind blow from? What do you think, 2B?
Don't know, don't care.
Good answer. But, and the answer, unfortunately, to how did I know this game was going to be really good when I started playing it was that I played Drakengard 3, and that was really good. It also started quite slowly, but ended up being really, really good. So that was it. Yakuza 4, how did I know that game was going to be really good? Played Yakuza 2, and it was really good. So you know it's going to start slow because you know what it's going to get into eventually.
Well, machines can't really make children. Neither can androids, now that I think about it.
Oh.
2B? Little help here?
Huh?
It's so
You're the shy
surreal.
one. Work it out.
So just surreal conversation to be having.
Wow, it's getting late. Let's get you home already.
What is this like 3 men and a baby conversation that's happening in the middle of this cyberpunk action adventure here? The big ones are actually way easier to beat, just because, I mean, nothing's that hard in this game, to be fair, but the big ones are by far the easiest to beat because they're easy to target and they don't follow you and they don't move out the way. They just sit there and take it. And unlike heavies in most games, they don't really have any defensive options. Most of the time in character action games like DMC, Devil May Cry, which is another thing I streamed way back before I had this microphone, so it sounds like shit. The heavies and that, and I know it's a bad example, it's not a great game, but at least the heavies you can't attack from the front or the side. You have to hit it from the back, and if you go near the front, you bounce off and you take damage usually. Oh, pink fruit. How nice. What a mysterious game.
Well, that was exhausting.
Yep.
Alright. Do I have anything else that I can do in the desert? I don't think I do. Oh, there is a thing around the side. I'll go do that while we're here. But yeah, I knew Nier Automata was going to be good because Drakengard was good. I knew Yakuza 4 was going to be good because Yakuza 2 was good. So then it pushes the question back of, okay, how did I know Yakuza 2 and Drakengard 3 were going to be good? The only answer I can come up with is is whether you're a kind of a lateral or a logical player in terms of enjoyment. Are you a logical person who needs to be enjoying something about the game at all times in order to keep playing it? Or are you the kind of person that is willing to not enjoy large portions of it in order to get to something that you think you will enjoy, and that you don't mind if that never comes and you just wasted time, because sitting and finding out whether it's good is interesting to you. I find that I'm a mixture of the two. I find myself playing a lot of games that are quite slow, quite big build-up, on the off, and I play games that I know already are bad, that I know the story's going to go nowhere, or the camera controls are infuriating, or the combat is boring, or whatever, just because I want to experience the game. So I am a little bit of a lateral. I'm borrowing that, by the way, from Edward de Bono's lateral and logical thinking. But I'm also quite a logical one, in that the reason I stuck with Drakengard 3 and Yakuza 2 and various others, Final Fantasies obviously go without saying. In recent years, there have been many peculiar units of sight among the machine life forms. We've also heard troubling reports of enemies approaching androids under a so-called banner of peace. Do not let yourself be deceived. The mission entrusted to all androids is the utter destruction of the enemy, to the very last. Glory to mankind. Well said. Hi, Hitler. Don't take that out of context. But this is an oil lake, by the way, if anyone's interested. Quite interesting. You get something really rare here. I might have to try fishing it. But yeah, the Nazi reference to the Council of Humanity is actually not as apt as it seems, but we'll find out later. Let's fish a little bit, shall we? But I'm also logical in that the reason I stuck with Yakuza and the reason I stuck with Drakengard was because there were things about it that really interested me all the way. Oil sardine. In the case of... Well, actually, there was one thing in common that really interested me to them, and it's the thing that I find either makes or breaks a game for me, regardless of other content, is the core concept of this game interesting. Even if it doesn't really do anything with it. Or other aspects of the game let it down, like it's, you know, it's art design or it's gameplay or whatever. Drakengard 3 is very, very quick and clear about its message. or its theme, its tone, its story, which is there are 6 goddesses named 0, 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. Each of them have a dragon. You are one of those, 0, who's on a mission to kill all the rest. And it shows itself off, it's like dramatic, over the top, Japanese as fuck, but also really goofy, which plays into the Japanese as fuck. The like stupid jokes with Mikhail, the kind of weird sex jokes that they do, and the like deliberate third wall breaking at times, with the developers putting messages into the game mid-game. Like there's a point at which you defeat one of your sisters, and then her attendant murders her before you get the chance to finish her off. And he's like stood there like smashing her with a sword like over and over again, yelling just obscenities. And the game bleeps them out, and puts a big censored bar over the actual hitting, just as like a stupid joke, and for no other reason than that. And so immediately I look at that game and I think, even if this goes nowhere, this is something for me. This is an interesting concept that you don't see a lot of times. Nier Automata, even if without the experience of Drakengard 3, is the same, because look, androids, insanely attractive gothy lolly androids fighting an army of robots 11,000 years in the future. That's interesting. I want to know what they're just doing with that. And he defeated the machines. You're amazing. I wish I was as strong as you. We're charged with sending resources from here to the bunker. It's a harsh environment. Well, nothing about it. Better concentrate on the task at hand, right? Indeed. So where was my side quest? Yakuza was the same. It sets it up right at the beginning of, even if there's nothing immediately happening, the way that the cutscenes and things are directed, in particular, the way that the conversations happen, the way that the combat is introduced, makes me think I want to see what this game's got going on for it. And a game that doesn't give me that feeling, I will likely not stick with for very long, regardless of how good other people have said it is, or what else. Even ones that start really slow but turn out being interesting, things like Tales of Berseria. A lot of people didn't like it. I've only played a couple of the Tales games. I played Zestiria, Exilia, Zestiria, Berseria, and a bit of Hearts. But Tales of Berseria is by far my favourite, even over Xillia, which is amazing, and also starts really slow. I don't really, but that's it. I can't put my finger on what made me stick with it. I can't put my finger on what made it interesting. Because the combat in Tales games is not very good, by and large. It's alright. It's not amazing. It's kind of fun. Berzeria's, I think, is the most fun, with the, like, Firion attacks, or Firion. But Zestiria's combat is just really boring and repetitive, and I didn't play that very long. I played like a couple of hours of it and then just gave up completely, and I never finished it. But because the core concept of that one, of Zestiria, is the same as any JRPG, any RPG you'll ever see, which is the world is in a really bad way, everyone needs help, you are the chosen saviour who will rescue us all. Obviously, because it started out with that premise, and it's a JRPG, not a Western RPG, it's not going to stick to it, and there's going to be some crazy interesting twists and turns and battles and things, but the whole tone at the beginning I couldn't stick with, because it just wasn't interesting at all. It's the most boring thing in the world, to me. I prayed for Tony. I feel like I saw Tony last time I was here. Actually, you know what? We definitely saw Grizzly last time. We definitely saw Grizzly. I'm going to repair you. I hope he's still playing. I like to think there's still an audience for this. But yeah, where Tales of Berseria is the opposite, which is where there is a saviour who is saving, or has saved the world. You are the monster that broke out of prison to come kill him. Okay, we have an ally with us this time. You coming, dude? So I'm just going to try and stay alive and just pick them off on the sides where I can. And hopefully my allies will do some good work for me. I dodged into it, fuck's sake. Yeah, the concept of Berseria just appealed to me way more. The anti-hero, or even the active villain protagonist, is way more interesting to me than chosen hero destined to save the world. Well, that was awful. Is my allied person even helping me here? I don't think she is. God fucking damn it. No, she just stood there. Well, that's cheating. If I had her in the fight, it would have won that easy. Same plan though. Let's go. As much damage as you can in as short a time as you can is basically the order of the day, isn't it? Dodge! It's because I tried to do the super and hit them all at once. I could do this, trust me. But, do you guys stick with games when you don't immediately find them interesting, or do you try to only play things that you're enjoying all the time? There was a blog post I brought up a while back that someone had done quite recently now. For God's sake, aim in the direction I want you to aim. We're miles off on that one. I need to get the one with the big spinning axe that hits everything around it. That's what will probably win this for me. You know what, I'll go and get that and then we'll come back at some point. But by and large, yeah, it's just a feeling that you get. For me, it's the core concept of the game. If it's interesting, I'll stick with it. If it's not, I won't. Not much I want there. You know, what else have we got in the side quests to go and look at? Where is that? Oh, that's the fucking thing. You know what I mean. Jean-Paul's Melancholy. Oh wait, there's one in the desert, isn't there? Yeah, we need to go through the desert. Fuck. I'm an idiot. Oh well, we'll go through the desert, we'll go as Jean-Paul's Melancholy. And we'll come back to Jackass in a bit. The other thing I found quite interesting in that conversation was how do you classify a game by genre? As in, do genres have a set number of characteristics that they have that apply to everything in that genre? It's any classification conversation you have is, well, how do you classify it? Specifically in this, what constitutes an RPG? For example, is this an RPG? I think pretty much unanimously agree that it is. You level up, you explore, you put your chips in, give yourself different abilities and stats, equip different weapons and things, fight in different ways. It's RPG-ish. But it's also action combat. Most RPGs, that when you think RPG, you think Final Fantasy VII, you think Chrono Trigger. To some people it'll be like Pokemon. Classic RPGs are always turn-based, so does it have to be turn-based to be an RPG? I think pretty obviously no. But some people would say that. Obviously that would discount things like Dark Souls and Skyrim, which are kind of, or Fallout, which are very obviously RPGs. And then you get into the difference about what's a genre and what's a subgenre. For example, an action RPG is a subgenre of RPG, which Dark Souls and Skyrim fall into. And then subgenres within that, for then you've got kind of hack and slash action RPGs, like the two I just mentioned, and then shooting action RPGs like Fallout. Or Alpha Protocol, if anybody remembers Alpha Protocol. You shouldn't. That game was ridiculous, but I actually enjoyed it at the time. Like, a lot of it was kind of fun, but it wasn't nearly what it was built up to be, the premise around it. But yeah, what constitutes an RPG? For me, role-playing game specifically means you get a choice in how your character is built, I guess, or how your character develops. Not necessarily the character, with a capital C, if you like, but the protagonist, the in-game figure that you're controlling. Get that amazing desert music again, because we're back in the desert. I don't know if it's fair to describe it in that way, because obviously there are things that I would class as an RPG that you came from Jean-Paul, didn't you? I can sniff him on you. That's weird. Jean-Paul is wonderful. He loves knowledge. You have issues. You lack a discerning eye. I bet men take advantage of you all the time. Not exactly. Right. I found something that Master Jean-Paul's sure to be interested in. Take it to him. A machine fossil. How interesting. But yeah, there are things like, when I say that, you get a choice in how your character's made, or how your character is built. That would immediately discount Yakuza, because, well, the reason I'd say that Devil May Cry, for example, is not an RPG is because you may level up in some way. You unlock new weapons and new abilities, sure, but the end goal of the game is to have a fully equipped character with all of those things. That all of the time, that no matter what you pick, it doesn't change the way that you play the game, it just gives you more options when you're playing the game. In the sense that you are always building the character in the same way, you're not building towards something different, the way that you would with a Skyrim or a Dark Souls, where you would build towards a greatsword user or a caster or a thief or whatever class you choose to play. In Devil May Cry, you're always playing Dante Demon Slayer with the same set of weapons, the same style of combat, with just the occasional thing in. And yeah, you get style switches like Gunslinger and Swordmaster. And yeah, I guess they all have their own set of abilities and things to level up, so you could theoretically just choose to play as Gunslinger or Swordmaster and only level up those skills. That's not a way you can go. But I guess what I'm trying to get at is that you're not supposed to only play as one of them. The idea is that you're supposed to be switching styles and leveling them all up. Except I guess Devil May Cry 3, where you can't do that easily. So I guess does that make a different Devil May Cry's and RPGs? No, not really. But what I was going to say is the same with Yakuza is like Devil May Cry in that you're not choosing which Kiryu to play. You're not the grappler Kiryu or the quick punching Kiryu. Even when they add those styles in, you're still building towards a fully upgraded Kiryu that can do everything all the time. The same with Dante, you're building towards a Dante who has every weapon and every move and can use all of them interchangeably. Where with this, because of the chips system especially, I can build towards a 2B that has way higher physical attack or auto-healing health and faster dodges, or I can choose how my character looks and plays. And it is a choice, it's not a level of progression. There is a point that my finished, fully upgraded, fully leveled 2B will look different to yours. Where a fully leveled, fully upgraded Dante or Kiryu will always look the same for everybody. And yes, again, that's where the problems come in, because you can choose to play just one of the styles as Kiryu or Dante in the right games, obviously. And yes, in lots of RPGs, not every RPG, but in lots of RPGs, you can continue to level ad infinitum until you have mastered everything. Skyrim in particular, you can complete the Thieves Guild and the Fighters Guild and the Mages Guild all in the same playthrough, because you've got stealth, melee combat and magic all at max by the end. Or in Skyrim's case, because you don't actually need any of those skills to do any of them, which is stupid as fuck in my opinion. But the idea is that you will not do that. By the time you finish the game, you will have picked a style of play that you will have specialised in, and your character will as a result look different to somebody else's finished character. But then, yeah, that discounts things like Yakuza, which is obviously an RPG. It discounts... It kind of discounts Kingdom Hearts, which is the one that everybody points to as, what the fuck is an RPG if this is an RPG? Because it has action combat, it has a little bit of exploration but not a lot, it's quite linear. It has parties, but parties that doesn't make much sense, because all they do is just fight in the background next to you. And like I said, you level up your character, but you don't pick any of the stats that you get. The most you can do is pick which stats which special attacks and magic attacks you level up, and then which slot you allocate them to, and which ones get allocated to a slot. So I guess in that sense, Kingdom Hearts is still an RPG by my definition, because you picking which of the magic you're leveling up. In the way in this, that you don't change the core combat, whatever you do, it's still a platinum game, it's still character action, but it's an RPG because you're leveling up different parts of the character that'll look different to someone else's. I guess the Sora that I was playing is probably different to the Sora that someone else will be playing, because I use different types of magic to them. And it doesn't really matter if one of them is objectively better, it's that you can choose which you want. So, yeah, but I think I'd stick with that definition, because that does still kind of apply. Does it apply to Yakuza? Depends which Yakuza. In Yakuza 1 and 2, Yakuza 1 and 2, there is no choice at all in the combat, it's just unlock more moves as you go. You level up, that'll make you stronger, and that's it. You level up, you get a level up, you get more health, more damage. But then there's like Yakuza 0, where you have 4 different fighting styles. You're supposed to use all of them, but realistically, do you? I didn't. I just picked the one I liked the best and stuck with it. I think it was Brawler. No, not Brawler. It's the fast hand one. Can't remember what it's called now. Just play Yakuza 0 again, it's so good. Back for more. Be warned, I'm stronger than ever. I'll spar with you, Servo. He's level 30 now, guys. Which means this is going to take a while. So I'm just going to keep talking about it. But yeah, the problem is that with classifying games like that, as I've just said, there will always be games that you know are in that category, but don't have one or all of the things that you have assigned to that category. And so it's hard to qualify anything as an RPG because otherwise... Because you can't just go for like... The thing that everybody says when they say RPG is that you get to level up. Right? That's the one thing. But you level up in COD. You level up in Call of Duty when you're online. That's not an RPG. But then, like I said, does it have to have certain types of combat? Well, I guess there is RPGs everywhere that count with different types of combat. Just in what I've mentioned, you get general hack and slash, you get first-person shooter, you get third-person shooter, you get regular action game, you get character action game, you get turn-based combat, obviously, you get like tactical battles, you get team battles. Like Final Fantasy Tactics is an RPG, obviously, but it has a completely different combat style to everything else. It's like it's a turn-based strategy game. But it works differently to other turn-based, so we can't narrow it down by specifics, because there are always things that are going to lack it. Ultimately, what it comes down to, the only use in the classifications at all. You happy now? Let us discuss the fee. Oh, come on, you're the one who wanted to test. Would you truly refuse a single request from this old monk? Don't even start with me. I surrendered all worldly possessions and took numerous vows. You deny me a simple request? Fine, what do you want? A mental alloy and a broken circuit. Okay.
Target location data obtained. Marking on map.
I don't just have it this time then. Where are they? Okay, they're both pretty close by. Yeah, I'll go do that. The only use in the classifications of the games is when you're describing it to somebody else, or when you're hearing a description of it from someone else. What would you... If someone told you this game is an RPG, what would you expect? And more to the point, what would you be disappointed if it didn't have? What are you looking for when when you say I want to play an RPG? What do you mean by that? What kind of experience do you want to have from the game? For me, it's quite often things that are nothing actually to do with the fact that it's an RPG, just what I've mentioned, which is epic grand storylines, fairly large or at least full worlds to explore and to interact with. I do want to build a character. I enjoy that. I enjoy menu management and leveling and skills, all that jazz. If a game is missing any one of those things, that's not terrible. Like I said, Kingdom Hearts lacks a lot of exploration, really. I mean, it doesn't, because it's all kind of... There's a lot of openness and you can go wherever you want, but generally not a lot to discover in Kingdom Hearts. It's more that you're just looking for the critical path, and it's just one long linear critical path.
Requested material obtained.
Perfect. I'll pray for you, I think. I shall repair you also. So, I don't know where I'm going now. Which of those materials did I get there? Only the one. Kind of want to go back to the factory, you know. Yeah, let's go play around in the factory for a bit. Like, yeah, Kingdom Hearts doesn't have an awful lot of exploration to speak of. It's all just one critical path. Yakuza's world to explore is very small by comparison with, obviously, you know, Skyrim or Fallout game. I love that. It could look better though, it could be clearer what was happening. Yeah. Brown belt 9 of 1. Anyway. Yeah, Kingdom Hearts, you definitely lack the skill allocation system, at least, that a lot of RPGs have. You don't get to pick new abilities very often, and most of them are just not very useful. Honestly, the only thing I really get excited about in Kingdom Hearts is when you unlock Cure Magic, because it's the only one I actually use regularly in my regular playthroughs. Or a new Keyblade that does more damage. And honestly, most of them, that just means you go to the Hercules world, you get the Hercules Keyblade, and then you stick with it until you get the endgame Keyblade. And even then, sometimes stick with the Hercules Keyblade because raw damage is all that matters. So there's really not a lot of character building in that. There's not a lot of, I guess, epic storyline doesn't always matter. I expect at least a long, interesting, at least varied storyline. Most good RPGs I can think of have that. Obviously, depending what you mean by good, like a bad RPG doesn't have it, etc. Different styles of combat don't bother me at all. Action or turn-based I can play, but different ones work better with RPGs, I think. In Nier Automata, like I said earlier, the levels in Nier don't really matter, except that you want to be roughly the level you should be at that level. Excellent sentence. You want to be roughly the level that you should be at that point in the game, because otherwise it's going to be harder and it's going to take longer for you to do stuff. But they really don't matter. There's no, like, when I go up from level 12 to 13 I sarcastically was going, ooh, I leveled up, but it doesn't matter. It's not exciting, it's not an event in Nier Automata. Where something like Final Fantasy or Pokemon, where you see after every little battle you get a screen where you see the bar go up, and then when it hits the end it gives you a little fanfare, or you learned a new attack, or you were about to evolve, or you know, whatever. The camera just panned dramatically towards something. What am I here looking for? The Wandering Couple. What's the Wandering Couple quest? We only wish to live in peace. Oh, find a elaborate gadget. Right. Mystery quests and mystery quest. Oh well, let's go into the factory and we'll try and get the elaborate gadget. But yeah, the sense of progress, weirdly, in terms of building your character and feeling stronger, Nier has that a lot less than most RPGs, which is one of the things I most enjoy about RPGs. Because you don't get the levels. I mean, you do get the sense still of progression because of the chips. The chips would do make a huge difference. If you have a bunch of attack damage like maxed out on them, you do way more damage, and you can tell how much more damage you do. But not nearly as much as in, you know, a Final Fantasy where you gain a new attack, or a Pokemon where you're taking dramatically more or less damage depending on whether you're a level below or a level above your opponent. I suppose for most of... Weirdly, the thing I associate most with an RPG is length, duration of the game. I expect an RPG to take me a while. Like, if I'm not playing an RPG for at least 20 hours, it's not an RPG in my head. I keep getting hit by the same thing. I keep trying to dodge out with my super, and I shouldn't, because you can't. Broken... brown belt? I don't need brown belts. A lone lancer saw old companions inside an empty ship. Impossible Ho. I want to meet the Impossible Ho. I hope it's a she. Brown belt. Fuck off. I need an elaborate gadget. Yeah, duration is what I'm looking for. I'm looking for a long game with lots of character building, story elaboration, and ideally something that will make me feel. I want to look back on the game thinking like, well, that moved me in some way. It's one of the reasons why I'm not a big fan of Western RPGs. Fallout 3 and New Vegas, and Oblivion, I guess, kind of, are the only real exceptions. Mass Effect is okay, I guess, but it's not my favourite. And I'm not sitting here saying Fallout 3 and New Vegas have this amazing, like, elaborate storylines that are just so much better, because they're not very interesting. New Vegas is good because you have all the different factions that operate differently and that have their own objectives and shit going on. But Fallout 3's story is just abysmal. Like, the ending especially is just so boring and so bad, so badly thought out that it ruins the rest of the entire game. I only really like... I'm not going to say I only like them because of nostalgic reasons, that, you know, some of the... You probably guessed just by looking at me that I didn't have a particularly happy time in school. Not very popular. Didn't want the people there to be my friends. They were disgusting. But, you know, some of the best times were with people from school that I can remember. Quite often going around one of our friends' houses, usually on a weekend or after school, and just playing Oblivion, just playing through Fallout. Taking it in turns to go explore a dungeon or you know, whatever. So I can't think badly of those games because I have so many happy memories of them, but they don't have good stories by any means. New Vegas is by far the best of the bunch, but it's pretty poor by comparison with most JRPG that you would rank among the best. Oblivion's really, really fun in overall gameplay, but its story is nothing. There are a couple of cool moments, but in the base version of the game you don't see any of them. There's, when you go to... I always forget the name of the city, but there's a huge city in Oblivion that's been destroyed by the Daedra when they've come through from Oblivion. One of the few games that features like a demon apocalypse that actually gives you some sense that there actually is like stuff happening. that there is stuff happening beyond just like somebody saying it on screen and then it happening somewhere. Where am I meant to go for this? This always confused me. Can I not access it yet? Is that what this is? I don't seem to be getting what I need off these guys. Then I forget if the side quests get knocked out by progressing the story or not. Because of course you do eventually come back here in the main story, but I don't know if that'll be by the point that I've lost these side quests. It's not important. We'll just carry on. Yeah, there's a huge city in Oblivion that's destroyed by the Daedra when they've been invaded. But the actual city is not a location that you visit in-game. It's just there. You just go to the outskirts. You go in a little bit. But then by the time you get into it, there's nothing there to see. You go to like the open door, you rescue a few people who are being attacked by little Daedra monsters, and then you run back out and it goes, oh, the city's gone, give it up, whatever. Which is really disappointing because it might have been nice to see, and there's mods for the PC version obviously that put the entire city back in. In quite a lot of the cases, like New Vegas, there were areas in that game that just got cut out altogether, including parts of Free something? I forget what it's called. The like Peasantville on the edge of the strip. There were parts of that that were in the original design for the game, but which were cut out. And now I just... what's it called? It's fucking bothering me now. Doesn't matter. And then you can get mods that put it back in, and I swear it was like it was in the original release of the game, but because it causes the game to crash every time it tries to open, they patched it out so that it's split up into different zones. So there's all these like little exploration things, big exciting worlds, but abysmal stories, by and large. Like, who even remembers what the ending was to Oblivion? A lot of people say it's better than Skyrim, and they're right, it is. It's the best one, except Morrowind. But nobody remembers the ending to the game, because it doesn't matter. The only thing I remember about the ending to the game is that you can use a bug to jump straight to the ending of the game from the beginning. The bug being that if you drop a pencil or a paintbrush, I think it is, one of the two, it doesn't drop to the floor like all other objects, it floated. And so you could make one, drop it in midair, jump up, stand on it, drop another one, jump on it, jump another one, jump on it, etc. Make a ladder up to the top of the tower where the final boss fight takes place, and if you did that, the boss fight would just happen and the game would end after you won. That's all I remember about it. I don't remember why I was fighting that boss. I don't remember who the boss was meant to be, other than it looked like a big white dragon. I just remember that I could skip to the boss fight if I wanted, using a stupid trick. Which tells you everything, because I actually adore Oblivion. The Thieves Guild in particular in that. The Fighters Guild's okay. The Dark Brotherhood's pretty fun. I enjoy the Dark Brotherhood there. Overall, it's not as much fun as the Skyrim Dark Brotherhood, but the ending is way better. The ending of the Dark Brotherhood in Skyrim is a wet fart, but But yeah, the Thieves Guild in Oblivion is one of the best main, like, side stories I've ever seen in a game. It's all the way it's building up about the Grey Fox. The Grey Fox, he's this legendary thief. Who is he? He's in the Thieves Guild. Join the Thieves Guild, there is no Grey Fox. We all know there's no Grey Fox. The Thieves are no, I've never seen him, don't know who he is. We think he exists, but we don't know. We think he's just a myth. You meet the Grey Fox, and you do a couple of missions for him. He has a really posh British voice, and I think he's voiced by somebody famous in England, but I forget who he was. And then it ends with a huge elaborate heist of one of the Elder Scrolls from the capital. And you use and you have to get a bunch of gear and stuff in mini quests before it to build up. Like he says, you're going to jump down a tower, so you'll need boots that stop you taking fall damage, and you know. And there's again little exploits and tricks that you can use to keep them after the end of the game, which you're not supposed to. It's so much fun. It's so much fun, especially the first time you play it. So I guess what I'm trying to say overall about RPGs is, I don't know what an RPG is, but in my mind, what? Are you fucking serious? I went all the way. I mean, it told me it was here. It's my fault. I knew it was here because the red circle was here, but I thought it meant underneath or something. Like, it was... I've got it. It's fine. We're going. We've got experience and we've got money, and that's what matters, right? Fuck me. I'm an idiot. I don't know what an RPG is. I want to be able to... If someone tells me I'm about to play an RPG, I expect a big open world, or a big world, lots of stuff to do in it, and where I can decide who my character is and what I do, at least some, or a fair amount of the time. And I'm now racing through games in my mind that I know are not RPGs that do probably fit that category. But whatever. It's a difficult discussion to decide how to categorise these things, because... and to know how other people classify them and how they're generally classified. Because if you only play a set number of games a year, which a lot of people do, and there's nothing wrong with that. People who, you know, they go through a yearly cycle of, they buy the latest brown shooter, you know, the Call of Duty, the Battlefield, the whatever. They usually get some kind of sports game, whether it's NBA or Madden or FIFA or PES, whatever. Or some variation of them. And then they get any big name mainstream release that comes out at the time, like The Last of Us or Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order. It's coming out not soon, but fairly soon. And if you don't look at, and you know, you can see from gameplay trailers and things what they are, because you'll see them everywhere on every store page that you'll see, because they know everybody's going to buy it and they want to get everybody as much as possible to buy it. But if you like playing a huge range of different games and you spend a considerable portion of your income on games, the way that I do, yeah, you can experiment with a bunch of different types, of course, and you probably should. But if I'm thinking like, oh, I want to find a good RPG to play, it's important that I know that when Steam's store page says this game is an RPG, that I know what that actually means. Because otherwise you're going to waste a lot of money buying things that you do not actually want. So you have to have at least a rough idea, a vague idea. RPG is the worst one because everything has RPG elements to it, to the point where, kind of like with Minecraft, after Minecraft came out and made crafting mechanics the big thing that games had to have, or it's not even a game anymore. And we got everything. We somehow managed to have crafting mechanics in Lara Croft remakes. We had crafting mechanics in, you know, every whether it's crafting or repairing, you have to be crafting something all the time, because Minecraft, people like the crafting, and it's an annoying phenomenon that you get in games that you don't seem to get anywhere. Well, that's not true. You do get it a little bit in sports as well, but those kind of communities where the big thing hits that does something really cool and interesting, usually, and something unique and innovative, it's then somebody else will copy it, obviously, to get the to capitalise on that interest. But then for about maybe 12 months afterwards, at least, you will get regular people looking at it and going, anything that doesn't have this is just so last year. RPG elements and crafting mechanics have thankfully kind of died out. Not fully, they still exist in a lot of games, but it's not the crazy fad that it was at the beginning of around the late noughties, early teens. Whereas RPG elements are just still everywhere, and everything has to have some kind of level up system or some kind of choose your bit. Like even Assassin's Creed picked it up, calling itself an RPG. With I haven't played much of it, but Odyssey completely embracing that as. When Assassin's Creed came out, it was new, obviously, but the first Assassin's Creed came out was a new type of stealth game. It had it was an action game. It was a stealth action game. We like Mirage, don't we? You know what? We'll go with Mirage. I know I could have got one of those. I still can, actually. You know what? Let's sell some stuff, shall we? Never use those for any reason at all. Still a little bit short. What don't I need? Take a machine mackerel, blowfish machine, oil sardine, shattered earrings. Those things would be useful. Wait, what? Oh, did I have 20,000 just now? Oh, we'll get those. Then now we only need the 30k and then we're done. We're done with the upgrades and we can just get abilities. Which I know is what you all want, so that's what we'll do. I need mushrooms and pure water. I think I get them from the forest, right? It's probably worth combining them, isn't it? Maybe evade range as well. I could probably do with. But yeah, RPG you can't describe what an RPG is to anyone, because RPG is every game if it's just levels. If it's just getting level ups, everything is an RPG. Assassin's Creed used to be a really interesting, cool stealth game with new mechanics for the eagle vision. I remember the free running in that was like revolutionary. It was nothing on Mirror's Edge, but it was new. It was like exciting. The combat wasn't great, but it was different to what you got in most action RPGs because it was all counters. And most of the time that you wouldn't want to get into a fight with a lot of enemies, you had to actually stealth. Where now it's just anything. It's like Assassin's Creed now, that at least the last 3 or 4 that have come out just feel like a reskin of Middle-earth Shadow of Mordor. It's just the same game, it's just big open world RPG where you level up, you get skills, you stealth kill things, or you melee things, or you just bumble through doing whatever you feel like because nothing's a real threat anyway. And it's just so disappointing because I was a proper Assassin's Creed fanboy when it came out the first time. I thought, like, yes, this is exactly what I wanted from a game. That's what I'd wanted from a video game of some kind for so long when it came out. I wanted some kind of like cool, historical, exciting thing with different mechanics, with a big epic storyline still, with big open world to explore, things to collect. I remember the first Assassin's Creed, I spent hours and hours on the night because there was no mechanic to tell you where all the flags were. If you remember, the collectibles were flags from the different factions. There were about 4 or 5 different types of flags. There were Assassins ones, Templar ones, English, etc. And you couldn't, and there was no map option to put them on the map, so you just had to run around until you found them. And I spent hours on end searching everywhere to try and find one because it was fun, it was exciting, it was an enjoyable experience to play Assassin's Creed back then. Where now it's so disappointing that it's become what it has, that it's just another annual nothing release that has completely abandoned any attempt at a grand cohesive storyline. I am going to put chips in. I'm just going to get some money and try and actually, have I got anything I can get money from? I don't think I have I? You know what, no, we'll just put some skills in for now and then we'll min-max later on. Yeah, it's abandoned any time to a grand storyline. The huge open worlds have nothing of value in them. It's like the collecting the flags was fun because it was the only thing in the game. It was annoying that you got nothing for doing it, but it was at least another reason to explore and see bits of the world that you wouldn't have otherwise seen. Where now it's just like most of the game now is just collectibles, and not fun collectibles, not collectibles that give you anything. It's just get more money, get more pointless items. And I'm actually in mourning for Assassin's Creed for the game that it could have been, the franchise that it could have become, but abandoned for whatever reason. Probably shitty production reasons, or I suppose more accurately for financial reasons for Ubisoft. I can't see how much I've got left because my camera is blocking. Okay. I know it's less than 5, so it's 4. Right. Unless I get rid of that, I put that one in. It heals a bit more, but it doesn't matter because I'm hopefully never going to get to that point anyway. And now I can put a 5 in. It can be drop rate, it can be moving speed. What do we think? Can be more shockwave. And then we're going to put some movement speed in. Oh, do I need to optimise first, don't I? Oops. And that's not to say that Assassin's Creed has become bad games, because they're not bad games. They're just so unimaginative. And yeah, part of it was that they became a genre that I actually really love, which is RPGs. I wish they hadn't done that. I wish it had stayed a stealth game and not bothered to... That's another one that when Brotherhood, AC2 and Brotherhood came out, there was suddenly a need to have crafting mechanics. Look at the skirt freaking out. So cute though. Look at the boots. Look at the detail on the boots. The pointless detail on the boots. It's good. Yeah, it is relaxing to listen to music. Sound data. It's so disappointing. So disappointing. Right. Can I put the yeah. She looks cute. Yeah, they suddenly felt the need to have crafting mechanics where you could build little gadgets and shit. There's Ezio. Look at my dodge difference now. It's huge, man. So thinking about what? Who are you? I'm with Yora. And Emily told us to make ourselves at home. Alright. Can I stop thinking about it? It's just one of my friends has a box that makes music when you open it. I can't get the damn song out of my head. It's the most beautiful thing. I can only remember the first part though, it's driving me nuts. Wish she'd come back to camp. Let the weirdo work it out herself. Let's go and look for it. It's a music box. Amusement park. It says pod because there's music in the amusement park. But we have no leads, so why the fuck that? Which is handy because we're going there anyway. Want to see them too. Can I do anything here? Let me check the map again. Right, I can't get to that yet. I need to go to the amusement park and then the forest. So let's go do that. But that's the thing, if I were looking through games on Steam, for example, or PS Store, Xbox Live Store, whatever, and I looked on the category RPG, because you know, I like Final Fantasy 7 and 10. I really enjoyed Chrono Trigger. I think, you know, I could go for a big RPG. I would log in, I would search RPG, and one of the first things that I would see would be Assassin's Creed Odyssey. And I don't want to see Assassin's Creed Odyssey when I search for RPG. There's something valuable up here, am I? We'll take a look. Why not? Oh, I was going to go to the desert as well, wasn't I? Now I've got Mirage. I'll head to the desert on the way back. So yeah, it's important to know how you classify things because it's how you search for things that you like, and it's how people selling those things will describe them to you. But it's tough. It's tough to describe things. If anyone's familiar with philosophy at all, you know that Aristotle did an awful lot of that. He was obsessed with categorization for whatever reason. He categorized everything, usually with no obvious justification for why things were in each category. I mean, I can go for the obvious, like, pop psychology thing of humans love to put things in boxes and that this is this and this is this. The reason is that we everything that we do is with a frame of reference that nothing in the world exists in a vacuum. It only makes sense to describe things by what they're similar to. It's just talking in a language that people can understand. That if you've never played, that if you don't play a lot of video games, and I say terms like, you know, RTS or MOBA, people are going to go, I don't really know what you mean. I'd say RTS, it's real-time strategy, and they'll go, what? Is that right? And I'll say, have you played Age of Empires? And they'll go, oh right, yeah, I know what that is. Because it's talking to someone in a language they can understand, which means talking it in terms of experiences they've had and are familiar with. And that's the same with anything you show, you know. But yeah, people can go too far with it, but the idea that we should reject labels or categories or boxes at all is just ridiculous and faddy. It's because it sounds, you know, modern and open-minded and accepting. And obviously doing it too much is a mistake, but you can't just abandon the idea of frames of reference or commonalities between things as a way to describe them. You guys are back. What fun, what fun. Accept my love. Precious earrings. Oh, thank you. Sorry I killed you last time I was here. I was hoping they'd be back because I murdered them by accident last time. Some more beautiful music here. Can you... No, you can't. I knew you couldn't, but... For a minute there, my brain thought, can I? The answer is no. No, I cannot. If anyone wants to date and time this video, Leicester are currently winning 3-0 at half time. Interesting. If you're into football, that'll mean something. Yeah, you do get that fad of something comes in vogue and then suddenly everybody has to be doing it. And then the natural, almost even more irritating resistance to that feeling. Get a gift for him. Give it to him straight away, won't you? Don't let a terrible girl in the desert find a way to interfere.
I've been thinking about something.
What is it?
The fellow was being a little too, I don't know, glorified.
That's certainly one way to
Did it just beep out Jean Paul? Is that right? Did I hear that right? Jean Paul Gaultier. It's not him. What's the manager's request? Resistance camp manager. Problems. Find a box that makes... Oh, okay, yeah. The one I just read like 2 minutes. Yeah, fucking beautiful music. It stirs my soul.
Is this the music box she was looking for? Man, this thing is all rusted over.
Look, a corpse.
You think the box belonged to her? Poor girl died a long time ago by the looks of it.
Maybe.
Let's bring this back to her friend.
See, this is really good element of storytelling in this. One of the ways to explore ideas like this, like consciousness, like sentience, like emotional attachment to things that have no purpose that humans have, sentimental value to things that don't actually mean anything to us in terms of survival or whatever, is that robots shouldn't have any of this. So just creating a game in which they're all clearly aware of the contradictions that are existing, but have little to no explanation for them. How much do we think I have, guys? Nothing. We'll come back another time, maybe. But just, yeah, having this thing where the robots are talking about siblings, they're talking about, you know, childbirth, they're talking about mourning the loss of a friend, being brought, you know, items that they miss, that they love. I'm ready to change shifts. Having been weary with their boring job, being nervous talking to someone you didn't know, like he just had. We got weapons and no one wants to fight. Just having this in where you, the player, know that this is impossible, robots shouldn't have this, is enough that you're seeing it happen and going, okay, so why are they feeling this? Those would probably be useful. That one can be useful. Never liked it personally, just don't take damage, obviously. XP gain is really useful, but I don't have any money. I have things I can sell to make money. More to the point though, I have side quests I can hand in that will give me money. One of which is down here. Yeah, just making you as the player of the game look at robots doing this, see the like kind of weird absurdity of it. The fact that it's so absurd that it's jarring to you to watch it makes you then think about it. The game doesn't have to force any kind of direct message or thought down your throat. It can just put the idea there in front of you and let you go ahead with it. At least for the time being. Thanks for bringing my sister home. Feeling much better with the patch fan. Here, take this. Yeah, 5G. Lost girl completed. Promise not to make my sister worry. Thank you for bringing my sister home. Pie tag. Jump rope? I want to jump rope. Oh, my legs are long enough. Life's hard. This like really sweet childhood music. It's weird. It's weird, but it's good. My companion, fix what's ailing him. I'm so glad we trusted you. We'll leave this place as soon as we can. Thank you.
Alright.
This, you see, it's very typical RPG stuff right now. Someone asks for help, go find them help, give it to them, get money, get XP. What I expect from an RPG when a game tells me it's an RPG. I know Pascal has a story thing for us, but what is this? Welcome to our village. Nice day we're having. Let me know if I can help you with anything. There is one of my favourite storyline side quest things here, but it's bad. This is really bad. But I can't do anything about it yet. So we'll leave that for now. And we'll go see Jean-Paul. Ball-like machine. Do you have a moment? Moments are transitory, one cannot possess them. A moment past is a moment lost, a symbol of idle, unrestrained apathy that you just take the present. A gift, let me see. Here you go. Ah, yes, fascinating. The machine who gave this to us to do both suspicious and alluring. It seems gifts nothing in a piece of unadorned glass. I can only surmise that. Do you want us to bring us back a gift or something to the woman? A trifle? No. Alright then. Let's go. We do have another present. It's a fossil. I see. Indescribably passionate when it came to learning. Mechanic fossil, no use at all. You want to tell her anything? Don't waste words on junk. Junk? Alright. That's all we expected really from Jean-Paul. Pascal. Here's some oil. Nemonade brought you. She is nice and kind. Now I'd appreciate if it helps some other machines as well though. Yeah, we will do.
Fair enough.
And it voices that line.
What's that noise?
2B, this is an emergency transmission from the bunker. We're reading a Goliath-class enemy inside the city ruins.
Ooh.
It looks like there are a ton of other machines there with it. All your HUD units should proceed and engage immediately.
A Goliath? This was a trap. I knew it.
I promise you, we were not aware of this information.
Were you transmitting your own loop there?
You believing me are strikingly low, but I hope you will nonetheless.
We'll sort it out later. Let's go.
Oh. Alright, there's a Goliath class enemy attacking. I'm just going to pop upstairs for a minute. I'm going to refill my Dr. Pepper and then I'll be back in a minute.
He said it was because the family reasons why I said why. And then she turned around, she said to be honest, Jess, you probably looked into much detail.
So she knew?
I just went, well, Rachel wasn't there. So I said, okay. She went, Jess is what happened to you. I was like, I completely understand that. She said it would have been really hard for you to hear. And I said, well, I didn't kill them before asking it. In the first place, because I wouldn't know otherwise. And I said, I'm not being funny, I'm not being like, and that's the cat. I said, but you should be bullshit. You know, don't pick up shifts if you don't understand it. Because you don't, you know, it's not but they're joining the site, which is very close to one of them. And because it's flexible work, they don't get paid sick pay. So if you also pick up shifts, you won't get paid anything.
Who?
Well, I said, I understand that. I said, but
Someone's gone for having insecure work, isn't it?
I said, but at the same time, I can understand that, but at the same time, there's people in their worlds that need help. Do you know what I mean? They need to look up care, and he's leaving his job. So yeah, he's having a horrible personal crisis, which is completely at the same time. But there are people in those worlds that are also having horrible personal crisis that need.
I'm back, guys. Hope you didn't miss me. So, a Goliath is attacking. A Goliath castle robot is attacking us. Do we want to buy some EXP games? How much were they? 2,000? 2,500? No, not worth it, is it? We'll make do with what we got. That's main story. That's side quest stuff. That's side quest stuff. Actually, no more side quest stuff available right now. Cool. See, that's what I'm wondering now. Has Jackass's side story over there gone? Because I've reached a main story point. I don't know. By the way, I just had a bit of a colour palette change, it seems, except for my bow, which is nice. Another amazing thing this game does, colour and light. Looks incredible.
2B, Command is deploying new flight units for us. They just set the coordinates, so let's get going.
On.
Yeah, let's go. It's also a really good justification of having things like a mini-map and logs and things in there that they're chips so 2B can see them. Yeah, there are projectiles coming after me. That's what those things are. But I had a bit of an epiphany, as you often do when you're using the toilet. Just to clarify what I said about putting people in boxes and categorizing and stuff. The key to what I was saying is that it is descriptive. People tend to not be able to tell the difference between when someone is using a term for them
Probably shouldn't get near that guy's feet.
descriptively
Yeah, no. Let's find out.
rather than proscriptively. Proscriptive labeling is very rarely a good thing. Descriptive is not only a good thing, it's essential. That's the clarification I wanted to make. Never should you be made to do something you don't want to because someone else has labelled you as
Flight units
such.
should be on the roof of that building up ahead.
But always should people
We're not
label
going
you
anywhere unless we pass through that
because of
Goliath's
things that you do and
lands.
say.
We should be careful.
Because that's how we understand the world. This is a big ass robot. It's the one we fought at the beginning of the game, if you remember. So we took these down already. They're nothing. They're easy. You run so fast. There we go. Ooh. It's found us, guys.
2B! Display data on central wiring hub.
Damn it, I don't have my big laser beam anymore. Swapped it for Judgment Cup. Really good against groups, kind of bad against this guy. I dodged that, by the way. Probably couldn't see very well where everything was on screen. Dodged. Perfectly. Sorry if you can hear the mashing of the controller buttons, but I'm comboing at least a little bit. Nearly dead, look. Dodge. Perfect dodge. Perfect dodge. Honestly, unless you're using supers and get stuck in it, it's really hard to not dodge everything that comes at you in this game.
Get to those flight units while we can.
Yeah. Look how quick and agile you are. It feels so good to just move around in this game.
The skies are packed with anti-air weapons. Make sure to approach at low altitude.
Copy that.
Will do. This rail shooter we're now in. Oh. We changed genre midway. How did that hit me? I don't think I took any damage from that when I was using my super and it went through me. Surely that shouldn't happen, right? See, these are I said it in the Kingdom Hearts LP, that Kingdom Hearts should use huge, cinematic, dramatic boss fights, instead of really kind of crappy one-on-one boss fights with people who are around the same size as you. This is what I have in mind. The Titans boss fights in Kingdom Hearts 3 are the closest that they get, I think.
That should do it for the guys.
Look out! It's recharging!
But they should all be stuff like this in Kingdom Hearts. Running and jumping over enormous enemies, or like million versus one combat, like Dynasty Warriors.
Enemy vibrations are growing in intensity. It's resonating in tandem with the area beneath the combat zone.
You'll never hear me complain about almost anything in this game because I think I get almost everything spot on. It's why I think it's the best game I've ever played. There's nothing in it that is even remotely annoying or could be improved in any meaningful way, I don't think.
The aliens who haven't revealed themselves in hundreds of years
Story, guys.
were hiding underground.
We found the aliens. It was an unexpectedly early twist, wasn't it? Given that we've only been in this game for, what, 5-6 hours? And we found the main enemy already. Or have we? Maybe. We have. That bun looks so good. You get a bunch of cosmetic things like that as well.
Yorha, this is your commander. For the first time in centuries, we've intercepted a signal belonging to the aliens. These are the creatures that are in direct command of the machine life forms on this planet. If we can destroy them, we can end this long and arduous war once and for all. Our intel team is hard at work attempting to analyze the source of the signal, but we're not there yet. We need more data. All Yorha units are hereby ordered to prioritize data collection above all else. We can't let this chance slip through our fingers. Glory to mankind.
Glory to mankind.
Determine the signal source and marked it on the map. It
Excellent.
seems to be underground. Like way
Apologies if there's interference from the room next to me.
If we're lucky.
You're not much for plans, are you, 2B?
I like their bits of banter and conversation as well. It's good. Keeps the game fresh and interesting. Bunch more side quests. Shall we go cycle through some of them? We should finally at least go and do Jackass's side quest.
We picked up the signal under the caved-in area. Let's go check it out.
Oh, is it not going to let us? I don't think it's going to let me. I think if I get close enough, it's just going to tell me, no, you need to go the other way. Let's find out though. There's Jackass. I don't know who hit me, but one of them hit me. I need to not be in the middle of them, but yeah, clearly Judgment Cut is significantly better for this fight than is my old one. Now, if I miss that first attack, there's no point. Just run into them. Remember, when we did our original LP, which I didn't want to mention because it's not really relevant, but I actually did this surprisingly early. I did this like really quickly. Even though looking at it, that's actually doing like very little damage to them, isn't it? I kind of hope for more than that. Oh, that down attack is really good though. I just saw how much damage the down triangle attack did. I gotta get that. I'm mashing dodge there, and she's not even doing anything. Come on. Sorry if this is really annoying to watch, but I kind of have to do it now. The hardest thing about it is the camera angle. Come on, do it. Yes, perfect. See, told you I could do it. Why am I getting brown belts and shit? Actually, from that side quest, did I do? Yes, I've got everything. Okay, so I can go and do it. Okay, I need to go back to the 2 robots. I also need to deliver the musty box. Okay, that door's shut. Jess research just done. Now I need to spend money on him. The wandering couple. I need to find them again. Picking a localized substance into a drug. It will expand your combat abilities. Science is the best. Keep an eye on the drug. Once it's synthesized, it's all yours. But more importantly, I got a level and shit. And then when you level up as well, your health refills to max. Not sure how I feel about that mechanic in an RPG. Should your health come back to full once you level up? I think I discussed it in the last stream as well, but... Well, first we have to ask what's an RPG. We don't really. I feel it's too much in a lot of games. In this case, it's fine. Obviously, when you're in the game, you always hope it'll refill your health, but... How interesting. I'm getting way too many of those items that they wanted with the brown belt thing. I suppose they just really... Are they like regular circuit or something? We already went up here, that's right. Pick up some stuff though. Always useful, eventually. Head further into the desert. So, I think I need to head further in the desert. Yes, I do need to head further in the desert. Where was the... just over there. Okay. Map spinning confuses my brain a lot. It shouldn't, but it really does. Things not being where I left them, I'm not a fan of. By and large. You could see as 2B's running and her skirt's flying up, my head's kind of tilting almost as if to look up. I'm not doing that, I mean, I'm moving toward my mic, but... You know what, while we've got a bit of downtime, as in between big story issues, I might just talk about 2D's design a little bit, because she is obviously beyond sexy in so many ways. About the sexiness of these kind of characters. 9S is obviously not sexy, he's like schoolboy, he looks like. Sexy women characters in particular. People care a lot more about sexy women characters than male characters. I don't really know why. I guess it's presumed because most of the audience of video games are male that the females being sexy is somehow a reflection of that. Is this what I'm looking for, or is this... Yes, it is.
This a pod?
Excellent.
Hypothesis. The owner discarded this pod and left it in safe mode. Motives unknown.
Why was it abandoned?
Well, indeed.
Reactivate it for me. If it's usable, try to overwrite the original owner with my ID.
Activation complete.
Perfect.
Access granted. Previous owner ID successfully overwritten. Special weaponry now available.
Excellent. So now I can switch to this one, which fires missiles instead of machine gun. Which can be useful, depending on what you're using it for. Of course, I still get my judgment cut. Yeah, people are a lot more fussed about sexy women than they are about sexy men. Presumably because, yeah, most people playing the games are male, and so they assume it's... How is that not cool? That's what I wanted to do, though. See, it sort of locks on and sends the missiles. Generally, I don't like that attack as much as the... But you see, it sends a lot of them out. The machine gun is more targeted, I guess. Would be how you'd describe it. But then again, this is a homing missile, so... And it's more targeted as long as you've only got... As long as you've got multiple targets. If you've only got one target, and all these missiles are locking onto it, this is just as good as that is. And there's a couple of different ones of those you can get. I forget where they are, though. I had to get them all because I got... Generally, if I really, really like a game, I feel I need to platinum it even after I finish it. That is, get all of the trophies, and you know, I go and do all the extra collectibles, get all the stuff, and I 100%ed this game the first time I played it. Probably not going to bother doing that on stream because there's a lot of it, but you know, we'll get as close as we can. Maybe if I find myself really close by the time I'm at the end, I will just go ahead and do it, but we'll see where we are. I really, when I was talking about sexy characters, I really like sexy characters in video games. We had this in a similar conversation about the idea of it, that that's not what real people look like, that it's a fantasy, that it's overly idealistic, and that I think the most ridiculous thing is that it's putting a pressure on people to look a certain way when clearly it isn't. If they feel that pressure to look that way because it's what I or other people like me like, then that's not my fault. You don't get to decide what I like so that you don't feel pressured to make me like you. If you don't look like what other people like, you don't like. How does the burden suddenly become on them to change what they like to suit what you want to look like, rather than to change what you look like to suit what they like? I think it's stupid. But mostly I just don't understand the... Thanks to you, I was able to create medicine using that research you helped me. You should try it out and find yourself spare time. Thanks, jackass. Generally I don't understand the appeal of realism. In video games, obviously, people want photorealistic graphics, and stuff. Personally, I prefer a good... At the minute, I prefer a 1920s, 1930s cartoon than I would photorealism. Because everything we've played with that art style has been fucking amazing. Bendy and the Ink Machine just went out. Cuphead, obviously. Livery Boy. Pray tell what Master Jean-Paul thought of my present. Call it a useless piece of junk. Such cruelty. I've barely the words for it. When I think about his wanton sadism, it makes me... Oh. Okay. We're going to leave you be. We're going to go and do our thing. So... The idea of a robot being into BDSM is very, very amusing to me. So yeah, we need to head back. Jackass's research is still ongoing. Yeah, I like things to look good. I really... This, like... weird pleasure that people seem to get out of looking at something that isn't real but that looks real and sounds real, and I don't want it to look and sound real, I want it to look and sound good. That can be with super sexy idealised characters, male and female by the way. A good looking male character is almost as good as a good looking female character, but I don't get why you'd want things to feel as if they're in real life. They're not in real life. Like, and I don't think people from it don't understand that it's not real. Some people don't seem to be able to tell the difference between when something happens in fantasy and when it happens in reality, as if they're somehow unique or that other people can't tell the difference. I love that shadow on that rock, that looks great, but my general thought on realism and fantasy and this idea that you shouldn't like or enjoy things that aren't realistic, or that being realistic makes something more valid or more interesting, more useful. I think it's ridiculous. I think it's a lack of imagination, if anything. And that goes to some of the weirder aspects as well, like cosplaying. I've cosplayed before. I enjoy it a lot. I went as Riku to a couple of cons in the last few years. I was cosplaying as Kaneki from Tokyo Ghoul a while back. I might put, if I can find those pictures, I might put them on our Twitter. That's at Games Babylon, if you're interested. At Games_Babylon. But like, I'm trying to think of a way to word this so that it doesn't sound weird and kind of over the top. But if you have a good imagination, you can conceive of just about anything. You can picture anything, you can see anything, you can think of anything. Why would you refuse to engage with any of it other than the bits that are outside of your imagination, that are just in real life? And I'll be the first, if we're talking about like religion or like superstitious nonsense, I'll be the first to say that reality should be enough for anybody, that you don't need to make up beliefs to make the world more interesting, which seems to be a lot of people's go-to when you talk about things like science or mysticism. Why is it so? But why do you think the world's so boring that there couldn't be magic and things? Like, there's nothing boring about the real world. But when you also have the opportunity to engage with things that you know are false, but can enjoy anyway, Why would you refuse to? Like, what possible benefit do you get out of refusing to engage with any media other than ones that perfectly represent your normal everyday life? I don't want my characters to look like the people that I know in real life. I want them to look as extreme in every possible way as they can. I want to play with different ideas and different concepts and different design choices. I don't just want everything to look vaguely grey and brown. And I think sexiness is a part of that. I don't think enjoying sexy looking characters or sexy looking art, for that matter, is in any way indicative of any personality or social deficiency. I think refusing to engage with it or being unable to get joy out of it is the mark of the deficiency in some aspect of your character. So no, I don't have a lot of time for people who see a character, a woman with big tits, and then go, oh, imagine how her back must hurt. Blah. No, her back doesn't hurt because she's not real. She is a fictional world where she can look whatever she looks like and not be hurt by it. That she doesn't have to temper everything she does to realistic expectations or considerations. And you get so much more variation, so much more interesting artwork out of that kind of thought process than you do out of trying to say something about reality, trying to make a message, or some kind of political often point. One taste and you're hooked for life. It sounds bad when I say it like that, but your buddies don't mind. Has some side effects like destabilising effect on your psyche. That shouldn't be a problem. Pay for on me. $5 for nothing. Oh, there's a Yori unit out in the desert, isn't there? I forgot it just pauses it when you're in the air. You see a Yori unit out in the desert? Because I don't. We'll come back later, I guess. Obviously sexiness is the one that I'm most interested in. A lot of my Otaku Hour videos, again, youtube.com/games of Babylon, feature games that have sexiness as a core theme, be it Sonikomi or Akiba Strip. But it's really not just sexiness that this applies to, it's less and less these days. But there was always a feeling, at least I remember when I was young, that a movie that had a lot of violence in it was always innately not kind of intellectual. It was a kind of idiots type movie that you would watch I don't know what's a good example of this, like Fast and Furious, which is probably not a good example of what I'm saying because they're not very good movies, but that you would watch a movie like that with a lot of action, a lot of shooting and explosions, fast cars and things, because you were quite thick and couldn't understand a complex story, you just wanted to see thing go boom. And I kind of subscribed to that idea for quite a while, but I've recently kind of flipped on it a lot. Because enjoying an exciting like car chase or a well choreographed fight scene is valid in itself. Like the one you hear all the time, especially around things like Game of Thrones with the thanks dude. I forgot I was just bringing him things. I was poised for a fight there. Yeah, the thing you hear about all the like near pornographic scenes in fact some places literally pornographic scenes in Game of Thrones is that, oh, but I don't mind sexiness, but when it doesn't add anything to the story, it's just there to be seen. I don't like it there. I think that's the most ridiculous. I'd rather have a kind of religious lunatic yelling at me that it was against God's will or something. Like the people who are like, I'm as open-minded as anybody, but because all open-mindedness ends with a but. That is the most irritating opinion to me. Because it implies that it's very clear that they're covering up for some obvious personal distaste that they have for whatever it is they're talking about. In Game of Thrones' case, it would be sex. In like Transformers' case, it would be like violence. And again, a bad example because Transformers films are awful. But it implies that the only thing that is worth any consideration at all is a storyline or, you know, a character, a relationship.
Notification received from access point.
Mostly that kind of auditory is the word I'm looking at. Auditory considerations are all that matter. The bits that you would hear in a story or you would read in a book, the words that are what matter in a story, and that visual presentation doesn't have any value in of itself is the implication that there is a huge cavern beneath the city. You're right. I talked over a bit of story there, sorry. But that the presentation of the game or movie doesn't matter, and that it's just there for, you know, the silly stupid people to look at while they, you know, touch themselves or take a swig of beer watching the big explosion happen or whatever, which I think is really unfair. And again, it's more a deficiency on the person saying it. But there's some of the most impressive, like, moving things are done completely without any kind of story or character context, even often in places of complete silence. Yes, the brothel scenes in Game of Thrones are mostly there for tone setting and what have you, but the story and the world would continue exactly as they are without them. So you could remove them and it wouldn't affect the story. But the same can be said of the fight scenes in a kung fu movie. By the way, that's the downside of the missiles in this. That you saw there was a deer over there. That I wanted to shoot my missiles at those two robots, but there was a deer, so it targeted the deer as well. If I didn't want to hit the deer, fuck me, I guess. But yeah, the implication that only the story and the characters actually matter in a piece of fiction is stupid, because you could say that about the kung fu scenes in a kung fu movie, that the story and the character development and everything, by and large, go ahead without the actual fighting. You could just have a scene where the main character walks up, pushes a guy, the guy falls over, hurts his leg, and that's the end of it. And then we just continue the movie without the kung fu happening. But as we all know who have ever seen a good action movie, a well choreographed, well structured fight scene can be as meaningful and as memorable as a really good, well written story or soliloquy. Obviously, we've also, like, the corridor scene that I'm sure you've all seen the gif of, is one that I think most people here would agree is as impressive to look at as any of Macbeth or Hamlet's soliloquies. It's nothing to do. You could have the whole thing not count. He could just run down the corridor, the guy trips, nobody catches him, end of story. but it's not the same. You're an android. It's the world full of love. It might be. And we need to express more happiness, I suppose. In which case, yeah, okay. I mean, yeah. Many machines who detest fighting. I'm down to gather them together and have a parade of love and friendship. And then that will turn the world of love. Fine, I will guard the parade. I'm fairly certain that I'm going to fail this. Because it's quite difficult. And there are a lot of enemies here who want the parade to fail. And most of them shoot projectile weapons, which makes it really difficult to... And they're all level 35. As you can see how much damage that one thing did to me. Yeah, I can't do this. And they only get stronger from here on out, so they're over double my level. Why did such violence have to occur? I refuse to give up, I'll try again. That's convenient, it means I can try again. No! Thankfully I have a health thing. Yeah, they do so much damage to you when they're at higher level. Let's use a health item, because I haven't for some time. But yeah, the point is that the other side of it is that I tend to find that the people who claim that sexy or toilet humour or violence in things the people who think that those things are not cerebral enough for them tend to not be particularly intelligent or cerebral people. They tend to like to sound it, but very rarely are. More often than not, I think they're covering up for... I think that what they want is a sense of superiority, not an actual understanding or a meaningful story, a meaningful experience of watching it. I think that they may look like a grinning idiot to many, but I think you'll be happiest if you can find enjoyment in almost anything that you do, rather than search for criticism to gain some kind of misplaced sense of superiority. But just because they're more, I guess they're presumed to be more base or more crude, it doesn't mean that the enjoyment that you get from looking at someone you're attracted to, or watching a bunch of people get shot in a war movie, the kind of bloodlust, the animalistic instincts, are no less valid. In fact, in many cases they're a lot more valid than the more highbrow appeal. And quite often, when it comes down to it, if you really look at what it is that you enjoy about even the most complex and interesting stories, you tend to find
it is impossible to recover.
a lone swordsman became a beautiful memory in a world of ended dreams. Yeah, you'll find quite often that the things that you like in really complex, interesting stories are very base and easily explained or understood by looking at people as animals or robots rather than as complex beings. example, mathematics is a good one because you find that quite often when it comes down to really good and interesting stories, you'll find that what makes them so good and so interesting is good use of patterns and symmetry. Just in a more abstract literary sense than in a mathematical sense, but it's the same concept. Oh yeah, Jean-Paul's thing. He said it was a mere trifle. Such insight, such truth, he sees to the core of things in a way others cannot. I shall follow you for the rest of my days, Master Jean-Paul. That's a long time. Yeah, it is. But
This is exhausting. He doesn't care at all about anyone but himself. And yet his followers just keep talking about how great he is. What's the point of all this? And what's he even getting out of it?
Maybe you should ask him.
I like having all these kind of crazy things happening, and the only kind of discussion that the game's giving you of it. The hell was that happening? Oh, it was Riff. Yeah, stamps. I love stamps. Thanks, man. Yeah, and 9S is just giving us this like commentary, but that's the only thing we get. Him just obsessing with himself over what's happening. Well, it's hilarious. Stamp shimmer. Thanks. It's very helpful. Oh, we're about to see one of the best side quests in the game. But yeah, symmetry, patterns, repetition. Not repetition as such, but use of repetition. See, even if you take something less cerebral, say like Eminem rapping, he's probably the best lyricist in music at the minute. Big call, but he is. All of his songs are very simple patterns when you get down to them. But the ability to use lots of different words that rhyme and sound similar is in your mind patterns. It's how human speech works. It's why we enjoy music, usually. Because we recognise patterns, we recognise ups and downs and highs and lows, and most good prose that you'll read is just that. It's just somebody instinctively
Discovered inside enemy body. Proposal: destroy the enemy and imprint the stamp upon the car.
He's attacking her. So, yeah. This is the thing that's happening in the game that we're playing. I'm taking hit. I can't see myself. Damn. Taking lots of hits. I feel I'm too low level for what I'm doing. I think I'm supposed to head straight into the chasm in the main room. And I didn't do that. Maybe I'm just generally under level. Oh, this is a bit better. Well, it appears to be attacked by a horde of zombies. Damn. Taking lots of hits. Because I'm trying to kill them really quickly. Sorry if I'm not talking very much, but I mean, I'm going to run out of health items soon, as you can see. That'd be too wasteful. And there we go back. You know what, I'll probably just go and get all these while I can. A lone woman fought with every ounce of strength in a manufactured city. Mr. Pseudonymless. Alright. Yeah. And raised for Sonic, huh? Let's repair this one. Fight with my Sonic. Had to get that item. What I was thinking about setting this though and attracting stuff, most of it in the way that humans look. Creepy. Is that looking at them like a sexy thing or a big explosion, or it's no different in that it's just the lizard part of your brain looking at the thing that it likes and getting that influx of dopamine or whatever it is into your brain. Having like a well-written story or a character, an amazingly well-written story or character, is pretty much the same, but it's then the primate part of your brain just looking for patterns because it likes them. It's just looking for symmetry because it likes it. It's nothing to do with like being a really intelligent or intellectual character. It's just you look at the one thing, and most people, I think, who think that the other base impulse is the lizard bit of your brain rather than the primate bit, none of which is the human. They seem to think that the lizard is somehow less valid or more base, but it's not, and they quite often don't even appreciate the primate bit as much. They'll watch things. They'll decry Game of Thrones for being base and pathetic, but then watch something like Made in Chelsea and think that that's really amazing entertainment. Speaking of amazing entertainment, let's see this, guys. It's just watch. I'm gonna stay quiet.
Yeah.
So, pisseth off. You know, Yoko Taro mentioned in an interview that he often drinks a lot while he's designing his games. No shit. No, it doesn't. You're right, sir.
He's walking around a lot more than he did.
Speaking of people's responses to quote-unquote cerebral material. Maybe it does speak of the cruelty of mankind. Yeah. What? This right here, this is the response to any and all media. Every possible response from every angle by everyone on everything in this room. Someone in here is you. None of them are any better than any of us. Like, as much as people like to pretend, and I'm getting very philosophical here and very introspective because I'm playing Nier Automata and it does it to you. People like to pretend that we are high functioning, kind of a bit below God, but above nature type beings. We are not. We are monkeys at best. Almost all of the things that we think we like, no matter how intellectual or cerebral or highbrow they may seem, are just the thing that happens that makes the bit of your brain pump the drug into the rest of you and make you feel good in here. That's it. I like Nier Automata because it is everything that makes that happen for me. All in one game. All at once, all the time. In some cases that for people will be just visual attractiveness, which you can see where that comes from. For some people it's auditory. A piece of music that's well conducted, which again often amounts to nothing more than symmetry and patterns working well. And this game has some of the best music you'll ever hear in a video game. Some people it will be something like, say, I can get back from here, can't I? So I should go this way. For some people it'll be complex stories and characters, which again amount to symmetry. Back off, asshole. We machines are alive, you got that? You should die. You should all die. This stamp should die as well. Okay. Pretending that you have some kind of higher appreciation of almost anything is ridiculous. It's a communal lie that we all tell to each other because we all like to think it's true, but it isn't. And you'll find a lot more things that you like if you find which of those animal bits of your brain you enjoy appealing to, and just stick with it. Obviously look through lots of them, but I'll stamp it with my tears. Where? Okay. Sure. I just want to stamp to. I wonder why the machine's crying though. That's weird. What is it even crying? Is it oil? I wasn't shouting. probably help if I could look at the menu and see what I need in order to upgrade weapons, but alright. I honestly, I like looking at myself and other people as animals rather than people. Creeping machine. You want a stamp? Here's a stamp. What? Break time. Sure. Apologise if there's any background noise for you guys coming from the other room. They're like that. Get out of the way. I think people make more sense when you look at them as animals than as anything else. Just some of my conjecture. Friday night video game conjecture. Introspective, as we said. Yeah. And actually, I think a lot of things that are more highbrow. I love Pod. Pod's a great side character. Pretty certain I just saw a... Yeah... No, it was just this. Never mind. Oh, we got a message, Rick. Your new mission is to capture Renegade Yora members. Not only did they go AWOL, but they've confirmed they've engaged in lawful conduct. Ooh. It's the guys. They're to be taken into custody as soon as possible. Note, this is a direct order from the commander. Forgetting it's forbidden.
Operator 6022B. Be aware that the following transmission is classified privilege level 5. A group of Yorha fighters deployed
pretty high.
have deserted. We need you to take care of them immediately. But don't get yourself hurt, alright?
Yorha members deserting? And attacking the resistance, no less?
Proposal. Rogue Yorha units should be captured and detained in order to keep collateral damage at a minimum.
Detained? Easy for you to say.
We have our orders. This is where we had the tank battle, if you remember. But yeah, I was going to say some of the most cerebral, most meaningful things that do teach you the most about yourself, that are the most philosophically useful, or most interesting, at least, do just deal with things as base as sexuality or needs for, like, destruction and damage, the more violent, darker part of our personalities. I don't think things that, even if they present them as comparatively cheap entertainment.
Discovered. Alert. All stamps have been obtained. Proposal. Return to the entrance and secure the promised delivery.
Shrewd soldier held a girl merrily laughing during the decisive battle.
Surprise.
Deluxe, huh?
Ooh. Let's head back. I don't think I can run back, so I'm going to have to take the roller coaster. We got a nice pan shot of this place. And some nice music. But yeah, I think those aspects, like exploring your sexuality, quite often are the most philosophically interesting conversations that you have in media. And I don't just mean in the kind of the political conversation that most media have these days, which is just parroting what is effectively what the developer knows everybody watching it already believes. which isn't just sexuality, that's pretty much anything. But genuinely talking about bits of sexuality that aren't widely accepted. What is that thing floating on at the beginning? No. Oh, that bit at the front just counts as track. Okay. No, I guess I have to run back then, but... yeah, like weirder, fetishistic, darker sides of it. I mean, 50 Shades of Grey is one that people talk about a lot. It's not particularly good. From what I've read of it, it sounds like you'll find an awful lot of fan fiction and stuff online that's way better for free, usually. But talking about those kind of instincts and things are a lot more interesting. I can't remember what it was called now. There was the movie that came out recently about the girl who fell in love with the fish guy. What was the movie called? I don't remember. But again, it does really well. 5-0 Leicester in the end. You do hate to be playing Leicester right now. But things like that, relationships between different species in that case, but different people with different tastes, different kind of desires that people have. Exploring their relevance to you, if there is any. Exploring their origins, their consequences, their implications, and their place in your own mind is way more interesting than the most abstract philosophical discussions that you can have. Few exceptions to that. Fate Stay Night is super fucking obscure, but I love it. I like obscure conversations anyway. Not even philosophical, just dialectic or definition arguments intrigue me a lot. Whether or not you enjoy something simply depends on your own heart. This place is but a mirror that reflects one's true self back at them. Anyway, here you go, deluxe prize. XP. Yeah. Cool. Nice. Yeah, I love, for me, the bit that patterns and symmetry are what appeals to me most. Mathematical, firm, straight edges, defined categories. That's what appeals to me. It's why I love Steins Gate. It's probably why I like this. It has a really good mix of humans' maths and the maths that ultimately humans operate on. That was way harder than I thought it would be to get on upstairs. Ladder, sorry. It's why I like Steins Gate, particularly like the ending thing, the running joke of this is the choice of Steins Gate, that then takes on new meaning. It's the symmetry between the Okabe in the first area and in the first part of the story for the Okabe at the end. The kind of Chinabu talking about imaginary conspiracies and whatnot in the beginning, and then the genuine heart-wrenching storyline at the end, but which are ultimately the same character talking about the same things but in different contexts and in different ways, and then that one phrase that starts the story permeates it and then brings everything back around at the end is, yeah, I'm getting physical. I can feel the goosebumps on my back and the hair standing up just talking about it. That symmetry, that pattern that appears is beautiful. It's the best thing about that game it is a game, yeah. Best thing about that game so by far. It's the symmetry and the pattern to it. It's a VM, so I don't know whether to call it a game, but you know what, we'll call it a game. It's sold as a game. It's on a game store. That's another thing I need to play. I bought the remastered version, the Ultimate Edition, whatever it's called. Stands Get Elite. That's what it's called. For the Switch, and I didn't play it all the way through. Sean Paul's got. Can't see it terribly well from here, but Sean Paul ain't here no more. If you're looking for Sean Paul, you're too late. He set out on a journey. He said he needs to go find himself or something. He left a letter for you. The XP Game Plus 3 chip. How thoughtful.
Well, he's nothing if not consistent. A weirdo right to the very end. I wonder if all his followers being female had something to do with his weirdness. Did the human sexes interact with each other like this?
Who knows?
Maybe they did. Maybe they did. Do our sexes, being androids, interact with each other differently? Who knows? I think I need to go down to the grass bit down here. Get off the ladder. Get off the ladder. No, it's not. It's somewhere miles away from me. Well, it's on the path back to the... Okay. I mean, there's Yoruba trays over there. We got those in the factory we can't get to yet. We've got Half-Wit and Bento. We've got some others that we can't access yet. I mean, I probably can get to that one if I try, but... No, I can't because it's a different place. Okay, we'll try to find this. I do want more EXP games though, so I'm going to check how many I've got. Apologies, by the way, if I'm trailing off mid-sentence and then forgetting that I even started it. I'm aware that that's what I'm doing. Sorry, and I'm not doing it on purpose. I'm just getting distracted by things in this game. Leicester thrashed 10-man Southampton 9-0 to equal the record for biggest Premier League win. What the hell is this league? Raises taunt player and enemy attack power to 180%. Plus 10% XP. We really don't need the drop rates, do we?
Yeah. Southampton is so bad they went hello Newcastle without Newcastle even playing.
I'm going to optimise that. Weapon attack up, weapon attack up. I don't want to get rid of weapon attack up. I don't want to get HP up. Evade, range, movement, spin. You know what? We'll put some more things in when I've got the rest of the upgrade. Do I have any more EXP gains? I don't. I can put those two together, I guess. I might do that when I get there. Well, let's go back to the city. Oh.
What was all that about?
No idea.
So embarrassing. If you must know, I was arguing with my child. The boy refused to listen to me. He's gone and run off to no one knows where. It's terribly forward, but would you mind finding him and bringing him home? Sure. See what we can do. Look at you, you big softy. I'm not a softy. I'm looking for monetary rewards.
So this machine mother has a child, eh? It's surprising to see them form familial units like that. I wonder if they'll let us examine their brain circuits if we bring the kid home.
Your scientific curiosity is getting out of hand, Nier.
Joking, I'm joking. Mostly.
We're getting bits and pieces of Nies's curiosity here. Guess we'll head over there. I love 2B so much. She's cute, she's funny, she's strong as hell. She wears good clothes, she has good friends. Just to elaborate a little bit on the thing I said before about Yokotaro saying he drinks a lot while making games. He said in an interview. Sorry. He said in an interview way back when that he used to get told off for drinking whiskey or brandy a lot while he was working.
Over there.
But then he got a load of plaudits for the games that he wrote, so he concluded that drinking whiskey made him a better writer, so he kept doing it.
It's alright.
Baby robot's scared, man.
We should leave before more enemies arrive.
Come on, kid, don't be unreasonable. Any ideas, 2B? I've never dealt with a snot-nosed machine before.
You got me.
Uh-oh. More enemies incoming.
I'm on.
You know, can anybody think of a Western equivalent of what this scene would be in any American game you can think of? The closest I could even think of, not that. Why would you attack him? Oh, by the way, that's the thing. In this game, you can attack and kill anyone, even Pascal or Anemone if you want to.
Are you finished? Your mother is worried about you. She sent us here to find you.
The closest I can think of was in Borderlands pre-sequel. There's a scene where you open the door and you find a robot or
Stay close, all right?
a little like berserker character or whatever they have in those games. I forget. It was terrible, the whole game. But
so let's go home and have you apologize,
just like shouting and crying and mourning about like people being unfair and stuff, and it was meant to be like a cheap shot at entitled gamers, which is very weird to put in a video game. I find I find it really weird that so many video games are critical of the idea of being a gamer, but like the idea of having a crying child or someone throwing a tantrum in a video game, to have it be a literal child robot. Ooh, shit. We are protecting him, as you can see. This is a weird little, like, bullet hell variant. Hang on, I can just get in there now. They're going to do. I probably done more damage to them than they did. Yeah, I thought there was a thing there, but no. Problem is there is no equivalent of these type of things, is there? There's like... I know Japanese games operate like the opposite of this, as well as a lot of anime games in particular are just the epitome of like appearance over like story. Not the fuck's sake, man. I really wish the game would stop auto-locking onto the thing I'm trying to protect to make me attack instead of the things attacking him. Yeah, switching to that missile one was a mistake, I feel. We'll stick with the machine gun, I think. Yeah, I know a lot of anime games are the height of image and flashy graphics and things over like content. Because even if like the worst playing games that are just meant to look good and appeal have mass appeal, things like FIFA and some versions of Call of Duty, they still play well. No, FIFA doesn't play well, it's a complete lie, but see, look how much easier it is to beat the big ones than the little ones. But even like the worst examples of Western games that try to look good over playing well still play okay, they're still playable, but they still have some kind of gameplay bonus to them, where the Japanese ones that don't attempt to have anything other than visuals have nothing other than visuals. But the Japanese games that get it all right are so far above the Western games that there's no comparison to be made. Like, what's the best single-player Western game that you can think of that's come out in the last year, last 2 years, 3 years? I hear a couple of people say things like God of War, the newer one, the remake with the Norse mythology. Mommy, no, don't cry. Do you have any idea how worried I was? Sorry, Mommy, please don't cry. I'm sorry too, my darling, I shouldn't have said that. Oh, Mommy. Go on, honey, get yourself home. I want to thank these nice people for helping you. Okay, bye, my androids. I swear, sometimes I think that child's mind is just a bunch of bolts rattling around an empty pail. Never imagined how hard it would be to disconnect from the network. Constantly misunderstanding each other. Still, on those rare occasions where we connect, it makes me so very happy. I can see that. Thank you again for bringing him home. This isn't much, but I'd very much like you to have it. It's a lot, actually. 10k. Mutual understanding without a network sounds tough. True, but it also seems kind of fun. You see, that one's very anime, but I'm feeling feels right now. I'm feeling feels over this storyline. It's a really interesting concept that the robots all have communication skills and, you know, things like basic communication skills, but that they rely on data sharing in a kind of hive mind to like interpret each other's movements, so that when they disconnect from the network, and they lose, obviously they break free of the kind of central control. They also lose the ability to instantly communicate and have to communicate the way that humans have to communicate. That concept is so cool. It's so interesting. But again, it's not like this game isn't beating you over the head with that concept, no matter how cool it is. It's not like it's not building whole side quests and giving big soliloquies and, you know, like trying to make a big song and dance of it. It's just like, oh, by the way, think about this for a minute, and that's it. That side quest is all we'll get of that concept. But it's in your head now, and it plays into everything else. It's because we're looking at robots that aren't a part of this robot army that has taken over Earth. They just want to live in peace because they've disconnected from the network that was making them do that, and they're living kind of like humans lived, because they're essentially what humans were at that point. It's really interesting to see what is essentially, when you look at it, a commentary on humans, on human behaviour, on human society, human mannerisms and characteristics, but presented as robots that are mimicking humans, and not in a kind of cheap and ham-fisted way, but in a genuinely emotional and interesting way. He's gotten big. How good of you to grace Father Servo with your presence. Your drive is admirable. Do you wish to witness the glories of this modification? I shall witness the glories, thank you. I like that it gives you the option to witness the glories on the. You knew as past from this life, my child. Behold this latest incarnation. See, he came out the blocks at me like a fast as shit there. Like a fast as shit. Like a fast as shit. That's what I said. I need to be way stronger than I am to win this. No, not to win this, but to for this not to take ages. So I guess while this intense long boss fight is happening, I'm just going to talk about a little bit about what we just saw with the robots being disconnected from the network, not being able to communicate. That is effectively how humans are, that we have to interpret information from others rather than share that information. A lot of people seem to forget that's how we communicate and just expect you to know. That little comment at the end about it's difficult but rewarding, and it feels so good when you do communicate with someone. It's true. It's a really human thing. Actually communicating with another person is quite difficult, but when you do it, it's the best thing in the world. I need to get away from that. Look how little damage I've done in the time that we've been doing this fight, because he's level 40 and I'm level 18. But I've started now, so I can't just leave, I think. I can let him kill me, but I don't particularly want to, because I'll have to just come back and get my stuff. I'm sure that'll take just as long, right? So I may as well just do the whole boss fight. Mini-boss, I should say. Should use the health item. I don't use it in the main game anyway, most of the time, so. But actually, speaking about Mass Effect earlier, I forget what they're called there, are they called the Gek? Or is that a Fallout thing again? The Gek is a Fallout thing, but I think they're called the Gek, the robot race in Mass Effect have a similar thing where they have a kind of hive mind communication. That concept is really interesting to me. The idea of operating as a hive rather than individuals. Obviously it doesn't happen in real life, it can't happen in real life, but other than like shared interest of things like bees and ants have, obviously. But genuinely sharing thoughts and feelings with other people, other than just communicating your own to them. It's kind of interesting. I probably didn't use my super, because I think he can damage me more than I can damage him with it. I'm going to try only using my heavy attack on him. See how that goes. Shit. Got me. This is going to be the longest boss fight in history. I might make it a single video on its own. Should we see how many topics we can cover during the course of this boss fight? So we've talked about well, because it's like hive mind is the logical endpoint of collectivism, right? Where you think of people or of yourself as nothing but one part of a larger collective, rather than the individualism that I think, at least I assume most would more readily identify with, where individual needs and desires ultimately come first, and that the needs of the many always follow the needs of yourself. Not necessarily the needs of the few, but only if you are the few. Both of them have their merits and both of them have their defects. I think most people generally identify with collectivism more than individualism, just because they like the idea that maybe that other people are thinking collectively. But personally, I think the idea is horrifying. I hate the idea of living in a society where the greater good is more important than my individual rights and needs.